Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to just wait a couple of seconds while people start to jump on and all the little algorithms kind of go out to the world. But I'm excited to be here today. It's going to be a great show. Um, and so we'll start here in just about a second. We got a really fun show going on today. It's all about human compassion, and it's just exciting because I love talking about this kind of stuff. So let's get this party started like we usually do. And what do? This is Rah Rah Fridays. Woohoo! We love this. And I want to welcome everybody to Rah Rah Fridays, but I also want to remind you that this is the RahRah Real Estate Show where we talk about home, inspiration, and life. And most of all, we move people with heart. I am Patricia Love, and I have the website called RahRahRealEstate.Love, where we have a no-cost service where we help buyers and sellers across the nation. And I screen realtors for them so they get the top real estate agents, so they get top service. And then I provide tools and strategies and everything and support throughout the transaction and the transition, because everybody does deserve to be moved with heart. So go ahead on over to RahRahRealEstate.Love. I have a free gift over there. It is free, just as my services. So please check it out. Like I said before, in a few minutes, we will be talking human compassion with Julie Leingang, the reigning Mrs. Washington, United States 2017. And she'll be on just a few minutes. But first off, what do we got to talk about? We got to talk about Fur Baby Friday. Shout outs with Fancy. Woohoo! Hey, Fancy, how you doing? Doing good. You saw the eclipse, I believe, right? Yep, you did. And she actually had a great time. Looks like we have another fur baby that seems to be want to wander in here. So she may be part of the group too. So anyway, all right. We have Jasper, an 8-year-old Labrador sent in from Kathy from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to the Black Labrador. And apparently his hind leg is not doing that well. So they wanted to shout out to Jasper. We also have Jiggy from Allentown, Pennsylvania, a 4-year-old rescue dog, a greyhound, sent in by Victoria. You're going to say shout out? Huh? Yep. All righty. We also have Bart, is a 13-year-old kitty. Oh, love that. White with black spots, and he has arthritis. So it's sent in from Lincoln City, Nebraska. So Fancy, we got to shout out to Jasper, Jiggy, and Bart. So do you think that's a good thing? I think so. All right, we have a great day today. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for sending in their fur babies. We love that. Please keep sending them in so Fancy can shout you out every single week, because we want to give a lot of energy and a lot of shout outs to our fur babies because we are compassionate about them also. So we'll talk to you a little bit later. Take care. All right. Now, I am excited because we have somebody special in the house. And today, as I mentioned before, we have Julie Leingang, the reigning Mrs. Washington, United States 2017. And I am excited to introduce her. Mrs. Washington, you are on. But I want to just mention before we start talking to Julie, well, wave, hello. Before we start talking, because we are talking about human compassion, I wanted to just read this one little thing that's important for all of us, and then we're definitely gonna talk about human compassion and also find out what Julie is doing and how she kind of got into all this. So, first thing I want to say is, we know what, we all have commonalities, and instead of recognizing the differences between yourself and others, try to recognize what you have in common, because at the root of it all, we are all human beings. We need food, we need shelter, and we need love. We crave attention and recognition and affection, and above all, we want happiness. You know what? If we reflect on these commonalities that we have in each other, and we just need to ignore the differences. So, welcome, Miss Julie, Mrs. Washington. I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
I'm wonderful for Friday, and thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I want to just kind of get this thing started in regards to, well, a little bit of how you got started into this, but also why. So maybe you can just do a few minutes on that so people know kind of how you got started on it, because I know lots of little girls and middle-aged girls would all love to know that.
Sure, sure. So I think it started with me about fourth grade. I wanted to learn to play the flute. So I went around and babysat, saved my money, bought my first flute, couldn't be in the band until fifth grade. But I played the flute competition-wise all the way up through high school. And then when I was 18, my dad says, oh, by the way, and it was on a Friday, he says, oh, by the way, tomorrow I set you up for an audition for the Miss Spokane pageant.
Oh.
I grew up in Spokane. And he said there's a talent audition and an interview audition. So for me, I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into. It was a scholarship program, but I had always competed with my music, not me being judged, but just my music ability. And so I went in, put a smile on, made the cut. And by the time the pageant rolled around, I was the only one that did not place. I didn't win a trophy. I didn't win a flower. I didn't win anything. And I was holding it together until the curtains closed and the director came back and said, you did amazing. You're going to wipe those tears. You're going to come back to the ball and I'm going to see you next year. And I kind of didn't stop. I kept competing in the local level, thanks to my dad, who was my RahRah. He supported me through my entire competition stages, even when I got married, competed in the Mrs. Ohio, moved to Washington, competed in the Mrs. Washington, kind of took a hiatus for a little bit. But that kind of, I had a hard time picking my platform in all this because I cared about this one and I cared about that one and I cared about this one. And so when I decided to compete in the United States program, I decided to pick human compassion because that gave me an umbrella of different causes and organizations that I could be involved with and not just limit it to just one, because I have a tendency not to say no and spread myself too thin. But this way it allowed me to be a little more organized with the different events that I wanted to be a part of. So
that's awesome. And I'm so glad you chose human compassion. Excuse me, because right now, of course, we need a lot of human compassion. And so can you tell me a little bit of why I know you chose human compassion, but maybe why this is so important to you?
Right. So growing up, my father was very strict, very stern. He was in the Air Force. But there was a side of him that a lot of people didn't see and didn't know about. He would, we would make sandwiches to go on a picnic and he would stop by seeing somebody on the side of the street and would give a sandwich or a bag, or pick up donuts in the morning and hand them down to the, a group of people who were hanging on the sidewalk. So different things like that I saw growing up. And I actually now have my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, who kind of does the same thing. We don't give money, but we do provide, whether it's a book or, an apple or bottled water. But we tend to find people along our route to wherever we're going. And just that little piece of kindness, I think, goes a long way, no matter what the person's circumstance is, because we don't know. We're not walking in their shoes. So that's kind of where it stemmed from, was my father.
Well, exactly. And I think everyone also has compassion in them. Sometimes but not everybody practices it.
Right.
So thank you for practicing it. What are you seeing, you and your daughter, being 15, getting back from this? Because I believe in business and in life that it's vital to give. And I think people can become more successful, not only just in business, but in life in general, and they become happier. So what are you kind of seeing that you kind of get back from this? Because I'm sure that people understand, like, oh, well, that's always great, giving charity, but what are you getting back? And then I'll tell you what I get back.
So for me, there's like it's not a butterfly feeling, but there's you smile, and you don't just smile on the outside, you smile from the inside. And that's kind of what my daughter's picked up, because we've seen people on the streets and we don't know their situation, But when we hand off something like that, one, they're not expecting it, right? They sit on those corners for hours and sometimes don't do anything. So a little bit of smile, like just to see them smile and the light shine back in their eyes might give them a little more motivation to know that there is kindness out in the world, and maybe go a little step further in trying to better themselves. So they might see that in somebody else and then pay it forward. So it just is like a rippled effect.
I totally agree with you. And I think that the biggest thing we have to get across to people is this is a ripple effect. I think too many people think, well, if I just do it for one person, it's not going to mean anything, or does, but because I know I always am going out trying to make people smile. In other words, if I'm in the elevator or I'm in something and I just might say, hi, you look really nice today. That may be a kindness that nobody's ever given that before, or telling them they look nice. You don't know what their story is. We don't know what their background is. We don't know where they're coming from, and if they had a really bad day, and we could have just changed their life. I know, and you might have a story too. I had actually somebody come up to me, several years ago, and apparently I did something that was an act of kindness, which I try to do all the time. But they came up to me and said, you probably don't realize this, but you basically almost saved my life that day because you were so kind and open. And I was so taken back by that I didn't even know that I might have done it. And this again is that ripple effect, because now that person, she says she's paying it forward because I was kind to her. Exactly. That makes me smile. So do you have any kind of a story like that maybe has happened in your travels and even in your reigning?
I think more of it stemmed from high school for me. There was always those kids, right? I mean, there's so many different subjects we could talk about in what we want to support and help create awareness for. But I think it stemmed from, I think it was sophomore year for me. And there was a kid who really wasn't well liked, and his clothes were, there's not a lot of hygiene. And so a lot of people didn't want to approach him because of that, just appearance alone. But because, his locker was right next to mine, we'd start conversation and we'd just share, whatever was going on that day. And by the end of the school year, I'd kind of given him nice hints, not quite a makeover, right? Because I didn't know him that well, but there was definitely a change in him, in his confidence. And he was able to make friends. So by junior year, when we started, he was a completely different guy. So that, and it wasn't probably all me. I'm sure he took it home and did his research, but a little bit, kind of made me feel good that he was
but you started it. You started it. And I think what I know I'm trying to get across every day to people is that I always finish up my show with go out and make somebody smile. It's just so important in this world and in this time that we need to realize that we need to give some human compassion to people. And as what I talked about is to embrace our differences, but ignore them in some ways. Ignore the differences, embrace our commonalities.
Right.
Because we all are the same. We all want happiness. Sometimes we just don't know how to express it. Mm-hmm. And we really want to let people know that we care. And I'd love to find out from you some thoughts of maybe what others could do, even maybe you've learned. Like for instance, myself, I decided to let people know that to go out and make somebody smile. Something to give to people. Is there something that maybe you could maybe give a tip to people that say, I don't know how to do that. I don't want to do that, or not so much I don't want to do it, but I don't know how to do that. I feel funny, or, I'm not going to make a difference. Is there anything you can say or to help people to recognize that, yes, they can make a difference?
Yeah. So for me, and it's the subtle things, right? Perfect example. We were in Canada a couple weeks ago, and there was a girl walking across the street, and she was timid and just kind of looking down. You could tell she lacked confidence. And she was walking by me, and I looked down and I said, oh, those are cute shoes. And she just looked at me and turned around and smiled. And like her shoulders went back, and she kind of strutted her stuff when she was walking down. And so for men, it's probably not that easy to say, oh, cute shoes, cute dress. But that just those little things like cute shoes, cute hair, or you have a nice smile, or just anything, cute earrings. that's a cute puppy, or, anything like that that's a compliment that you would want to have complimented to yourself.
Right.
Just give that back to that person, even if you don't know them. Because a compliment is a compliment, and anyone is going to take it that way, regardless of their title or their stature or their age. They're going to take that as oh my gosh, wow, thank you. And they might say it out loud, but internally they're saying thank you.
They absolutely are. And I think that people just have to realize that when you display kindness, it is accepted at some point. It may not be understood right at the moment because maybe they're not used to it. But I find that it does become a ripple effect. And for men, I want to just say that although I do this also, but it might be easier where they open the door for somebody. They open it, or they help somebody lift something in a grocery store.
Right.
Or it's the little things like that that's what compassion is all about. Mm-hmm. And I find it so important to really sit back and really think about, what am I doing and how am I doing it? Am I creating a difference? Am I making a little ripple effect? Rather than, and I'll ask you this, because I find that people get so caught up in their everyday life, going to work, back to work, and then of course they're in the car, they're all stressed out, and they're like road raging and all these kind of crazy things. Is there something you might tell people? Like I kind of say people to stop for a minute. Is that something, can you add on to that a little bit?
I'm not sure if it's the saying that I use is it could always be worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's cliche or what, but that thought always goes through my mind. If I'm having a really bad day, there's always somebody out there way worse off than I am. And so you kind of take a step back, and then you start to be a little more thankful for everything that you have and show a little more gratitude. And I think it just kind of, it encourages you to be a better person, whether you are conscious about it or not. Yes. When you do something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that, that, and it is really just stopping. And a funny thing has happened to me this morning. It wasn't funny, but it was when I was waking up. I accidentally fell asleep last night with the TV on. So, and I wake up this morning and I hear on one of those shows about the mother's going to water someplace else, and the water being so bad that they feed it, they give it to the children, and the children can die. That it's just a matter of clean water in so many else's in the world. So like when I'm feeling bad, somebody else, all they want is clean water.
Right.
And so it's so important for just people to realize that it's really the simple thing.
It is. It really is the simple things.
So please, everybody, kind of remember that. Sit back and realize just how grateful that you do have it and how good we have it, no matter how bad it is or how bad it may seem, right?
Right.
Life is really good for us. We kind of live in a little bubble right here, but there are also people looking on this from other countries. And obviously if they can't look on it because they don't have a computer, obviously, right.
Right.
And so I think we just have to sit back and quietly and remember, hey, you know what? I don't have it so bad because there's a lot of people that have it worse, Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of also talk about some of the ventures that you are doing right now in human compassion. I know that because that's your platform, you're striving to reach out to people, I think, right?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. Who are you trying to reach out to and do and ask and all that kind of good stuff?
So I've been working a lot with the Girlfriend Success Circle and different networking groups to try to meet different women, different men, and see where their stories are and see what they're all about and see where their passion lies. Because there's a lot of times that you hear about organizations, such one that we're going to talk about in a little bit, that you've never heard about before. And so I want to help create awareness for that. As long as it ties into human compassion and doing the greater good, it's a good thing. It's a win-win for everybody. And if I can create awareness and help get more volunteers to help out, and whether it's, getting jackets for kids or canned goods or, building homes for Habitat for Humanity, anything that would need a volunteer or need help creating awareness for their cause, call me. DM me, email me. I'm there. And that's not just during my reign. It's every day. I mean, it'll be until I can't walk anymore. You know, I want to be that involved, and I want my daughters to be that involved. So creating awareness and spreading that word to anybody who is willing or needs, that's what I'm here for. So, for example, Babies of Homelessness, that's another one that is run. My friend Deanna works with them quite a bit. They do a bunch of fundraising. They go down and work at the shelters, feed down there. The Ladybug House, that's another one. They just had a big soiree last weekend to raise funds. I think they raised about $5,000. Wow. And that's, you know, drinking wine and out in the sun, wearing all white, looking pretty. Another one is the USO Northwest. So there's so many different organizations. There's 30 that I could think of right now. And I don't even think that's the tip of the iceberg in the local community itself. So,
wow. Well, you know, that is just awesome. Just to realize that you are offering up your, you know, because being Mrs. Washington, people look, they see, and you can be a great voice for them. And I think that's so human compassion right there, of just letting people, you know, reach out to you to help them in their volunteer works and efforts, because there's so much out there that needs kindness and help. And it never will end. I want to ask you quickly, your daughter, how do you think she's looking at you now?
How do I think she's looking at me now?
With my title, or just with what I'm. Because I think.
We have everything.
Okay. So I think my daughter has always been. I was able to work from home with her as an account executive, so she would help me stuff envelopes and help me pass things out. And I started dropping off bananas and apples just off the side street corner. We're walking by. We'll go into McDonald's. We'll come back out with a Happy Meal and give that to the next person who's sitting, you know, outside on the street. So she's seen me do this for a long time, and she's actually started the Random Act of Kindness in her high school. So she started that with her group, that they didn't have anything like that. So that made me feel really good, even though she's a teenager and whatever, Mom. She acts like that, but deep down, I know she's got a passion, and she opened that in her high school, in her grade. So that made me feel really good.
Well, you know, I want to just, you know, kind of chair rail on that a little bit. That shows right there that action speaks louder than words sometimes. Because especially with teenagers, I was one. I didn't listen to anybody. But, you know, it's action. When you're as a mother or, you know, somebody that people look up to, a mentor, it's the action that you are taking that people really see. And I think that's where the ripple effect really comes in, is when people see us doing something, they go, oh, she was so kind to do that. Even if they saw us smiling at somebody or saying something nice, that other person may then, like your daughter. And so that's awesome. She took the initiative to start something, and that is wonderful. Monique just jumped on and says, Julie, here, I just want to, because people are responding, just says, Julie, love that you are having the passion for this cause. I think that's wonderful. Thanks, Monique. She's also saying that homelessness is really bad in the Seattle area, and yes, it is. And it's just not Seattle, it's everywhere. So in talking about this whole human compassion thing, it just, I mean, I feel like I want to go on and just tell everybody, you got to do something. And it starts with us, right? It starts with you and me.
Yes.
And so, you know, again, this is kind of a very passionate area for me myself, because even in my business, I think about, even though it's a business, it's compassion. So I want to just let people know that whether you're in business or in life, treat people as in human compassion and kindness. It is a ripple effect, because there's so many anxious people and very uptight people right now that we need to give kindness. So that being said, let's talk about here a couple maybe particular ones we are going to be doing here in the next day or so, because we are getting closer to the end here. 10 o'clock comes up really fast on this show.
Fast.
I know. So I want to I'll ask you first off, what is the main ones that you want to talk about? I know that you are going to join us, and that's Seroptimus. In fact, I belong to Seroptimus, everybody. And basically Seroptimus is an international volunteer organization for, basically business women or anybody, a professional that wants to help women and children get educated and be more empowered. And so we're putting this on for Days for Girls. Mm-hmm. And what it is it's called Girls Climb, Girls Soar. And it's a big charity event that's going on up in let's see, make sure I get it right. I think it's in the Everett area. It's High Trek Adventures at 11928 Beverly Park Road. We're at booth number 1 for Seroptimus. And the Mrs. Washington, the reigning queen here, I want to say, of Washington, United States 2017 is going to be there from 11 to 1?
I believe 11 to 1.
11 to 1. And I encourage everybody to stop by the booth and come up there and be part of Girls Climb, Girls Soar, and meet Mrs. Washington, meet Julie Leingang, and shake her hand and get her autograph, whatever you truly want to do, because she's part of the human compassion. So please, Julie, I know you have a couple other things that you want to talk about.
So I'm actually heading up to the Evergreen State Fair this afternoon, so you can come by there. And it's Blue Friday, so wear your Seahawks gear. You get $2 off. Where
are you going to be at the fair? Do you know?
I don't have a set place yet. Just kind of
walking around.
Walking around. I'll have my youngest daughter with me, London. Who's almost 2. But we're going to be stopping by, and that's today. It's Friday. And then tomorrow, before I head up to the Seroptimus, I'm going to stop by the More Love Project in Redmond. They're raising some funds for back-to-school baggies for kids. So I'm going to stop by there. I've got a packed week next week, but the big one is the Seroptimus with you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And then tying in real quick, I know our time is limited. We're having a relaunch, if you will, October 6th. With you, we're partnering up with you. And when I say us, High Heeled Go-Givers, I'm the co-creator for a company called High Heeled Go-Givers. And we're partnering up with the Seroptimus. And the chosen charity that we have decided to work with is Washington Women in Need. So it's perfect timing with girls, working, women and children in particular. So we're really looking forward to that. We'll have more information about that coming soon.
Yes, and we'll make sure we put that out there for everybody, because there's so many, there's so many places to volunteer. I encourage you, if women in business or right now, if you're looking for a community or a volunteer place to go, Seroptimus itself, we do a lot of different charities. And we call it, even though we're international and been around for 100 years, in fact, my mother was a Seroptimus in the 1960s. It's one of those best known kept secrets, as they say. We're like the best known kept secret. And we help women and children, or women and girls, empowering them. And you don't have to commit to every minute. This is what's so wonderful about Seroptimus. You can give when you can, be part of something. Because I know that people want to be part of things sometimes, but they feel like they can't be involved in everything. So I encourage you, if you're looking to do something like that, Seroptimus is a great place. Please contact me. Go over to our Facebook page, Bellevue Seroptimus Metro Eastside, and check us out there. Or also just give me a holler. I'll show it to you and go to a meeting. But I'm very excited that, Mrs. Washington is going to be up at our Days for Girls tomorrow. So please come up for that. Also check out her highheeledgogivers.org. I know it's getting there. It's kind of coming up. You're kind of getting everything ready.
Work in progress.
That right there tells me High Heeled Go-Givers. That's for professionals. That's for women that we want to give and we want to do, right?
Exactly.
So the next thing I want to ask you, if there anything, maybe any last minute things, we got about 1.5 minutes here, that you want to say to people?
If you're looking for, and this is on a side note with my title, but if you are interested in competing, we have several different categories: Miss Teen, Teen, Ms. Woman. We've got a category to fit any kind of woman. So if you're interested in competing, give me a call, shoot me an email. Like Patricia mentioned, volunteering. volunteer, even if it's an hour. It doesn't cost you anything but time, and time is a gift. So you're giving that to your organization that you're being a part of. So those would be my two biggest things to shout out before we end this here.
Okay, well, that's awesome. And again, everybody, human compassion is something that's so, so important, whether it's in business, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in business or regular life. Be kind to people. People need kindness right now. Julie, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored to have you on my show. I love that. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure you're easy to work with. So I'm wondering, people can reach out to you easily. She's fabulous, everybody. She's easy to talk to. So it's just wonderful. So everybody, you're welcome. And so thanks, everybody. I want to say, please join me every Friday. We have RahRah Fridays from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we on Facebook Live, where we are always talking about, inspiration, home, and life, and where we're always moving people with heart. And the last thing I always want to say, and that's human compassion, is go out and make somebody smile. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.